The reason I wanted to start my own business is because I'm unemployable. You know, can't work for somebody else, number one. But the car wash industry was not something that I originally, dreamed of being a part of. I saw what my dad did. It was a grind. He was always on the road. He was always there at the car wash. So initially I didn't want to really, dream to be in the car wash. But after I grew up a little bit, investigated other businesses, I realized that the profit margin in the car wash business was, you couldn't find these margins in other businesses. And plus, having the advantage of having my father at my disposal was a huge privilege, for me. And so it only made sense for me to, join him, learn the trade, and then eventually go and do my own thing. I would say today I practice patience more than anything. A lot of people don't understand that no matter how eager, no matter how aggressive you are, that success sometimes has to take time to resonate, to catch up to you. That's, I think, probably been my biggest weakness, is I've been on a mad dash and, proclaiming victory, or whatever, or success. And, you gotta give it time to catch up with you. Nashville right now because when we first started Cheetah Clean, we had an ambitious, growth goal, and it was Nashville to Louisville was the I-65 corridor. That's what we were going to work. We have two decent sized cities, that were nestled in between right out, in Bowling Green, Kentucky. So Nashville's about an hour south, and Nashville's just exploding right now with growth. So there's tons of opportunity here. We've done business here. My father has a great reputation here. He's built over probably 30 car washes in the Nashville market. So, it just makes sense for us to be here. It's the closest, easiest metropolitan area. Why did I fully commit to being in the car wash space? I knew I wanted to be my own boss. I knew I wanted to make it big, and when I was like 23 years old or whatever, my dad called me and he asked me to come help him. He had a competitor building in town. And that was kind of, what every son longs for, as their father, to say, hey man, I need your help. And that got me started. And, it began a process for me to where, I began to network with other car wash individuals. I went to the trade shows. I read the literature. I got plugged into the communities. I started, talking to others and picking up what is the best practices, so on and so forth. We knew how to clean a car and we understand the retail atmosphere very well, but how to, prevent a pump from going out, or if you're having problems with your chain, there's always somebody in the industry that you can call and get help from. I practice, this mantra. Whenever there's a problem, I try to get back to the root of the issue and see what's causing the issue. As an entrepreneur, if no one's figuring out what's causing the problem, you're going to continue to have it. What is the primary focus of my business today? Number one thing I'm doing today is trying to scale. We brought in Jeremy Place, 20-year car wash veteran. He and I are talking about the mission statement, what he created. He brought it to me and I'm like, man, it's perfect. It's exactly what we're looking for. So he and I mesh well. He's come in as director of J. Warner. That's going to allow me to focus on, the business versus being in it. I can work on, finance strategies, construction, partnership opportunities. All of those things take significant time and energy output. So with Jeremy being in the business now, it's really going to allow me to focus on those opportunities. Back in, I guess, 2015, this was after Cheetah Clean. Owensboro was basically kind of down and out, and my father brought me this opportunity with Eric Lohman, and they were washing about 50 cars a day. They had been sold a nice Motor City rig, which we'll see in here, but their conveyor wasn't fixed, so I was getting paid on production, so I couldn't wash high volume. It all started back in 2005. I basically left my father's car wash, and I had $15,000 and saved up, and I put an option on 5.5 acres of ground in Bowling Green. And I had my daughter. She was born in 2003, and so I had made my mind up I was going to wash cars in Bowling Green. So I bought this piece of property, or put an option on a piece of property. I had $15,000. Didn't have a clue what I was doing. I was like 25 years old, and put the option under, and before the option expired, I had sold 2 of the lots, and the city came to me and they wanted to put a road in the middle of the property with a traffic light, and had basically paid for the entire project with the sale of the 2 lots before I even had to go and purchase the property, which it was just a unique deal. I guess you could call myself lucky, but we ended up, I shopped it around, all around Bowling Green. Everybody took it to investors, and nobody was wanting to give me any equity in the deal. So I was about to lose the deal, and I had a detail shop, and the lady who was doing my books, her name was Barbara Reed. And so I came in one day and I threw my sales stuff on the table and told her that I was basically going to lose the deal, and she said that she might be interested in the deal. So at that point, I had to put my sales hat on and go to work on closing her to help me take down this. It was a 5.43 acre lot for $1.2 million. And she agreed. Her brother came in, I met with her brother, and she decided to do the deal. So we basically were starting to develop this property, and my dad came to me at this point, and he begged me not to build because he was selling to Regal, and they had a no compete with him, and they told him that no matter if he was helping me or not, that they were going to sue him if I built a car wash in Bowling Green. So that's, kind of the story.
The reason I got in the car wash industry was I was 19 and I needed a job at the end of the day. And so I worked any hours, shifts, days. It didn't matter. Someone calls in sick, I'm coming down. You need help working on the equipment, I don't know what I'm doing, but I'll hold a wrench. It kind of became that for me. It became, whatever it takes, whatever I need to do. I actually went to college and have a theology degree. So I'd never planned on sticking around But I've found that I've enjoyed the work, I enjoy what I do, and quite frankly, I make pretty good money doing it. Still, as even 10 years ago, I never thought I would still be doing this today. Obviously, I'm now locked in. This is what I'll do until the time to retire. Which hopefully is another 20 years max. Yeah, most of the general public doesn't understand what goes on behind the scenes.
It's a really tough business. It's a 7-day-a-week grind. Probably the most difficult aspect of it is that you're running like a small production plant.
It's not soap and water, which is what you'll hear people say, how hard can it be? What they don't realize is you're dealing with a multi-million-dollar robot run by computers and software programs, and then you're dealing with, typically in the back room, tons of support equipment from high-dollar pumps to water treatment facility, treating reclaimed water. I mean, you're dealing with hydraulics, pneumatics, electrical, plumbing.
Like all of the technology there, you have air compressor, hydraulic motors, pneumatics, sonar, photo eyes, conveyor systems ran by PLC boards, and then you've got integration with your point of sale system.
Regular mechanical, computers, all those things, all those trades rolled into one.
And then you throw the retail atmosphere on top of it, which you've got to have people out there smiling, being friendly, being serviceable to the customer. The sophistication, and then the labor aspect. Cleaning a car is not, something, in my opinion, you can just send it through the tunnel and you get a clean car. That's with Cheetah Clean, what we do and what we advise clients to do is to pre-treat the car, prep the car, and really try to get the most, the cleanliness of the car is like the highest, aspect of what we're trying to achieve.
Back to just dealing with customers on a day-to-day, transaction to transaction scenario, dealing with employees on a day-to-day, hour-by-hour scenario. You combine all that, and it's a very, very unique industry in that regard. It's extremely complex behind the scenes, but yet simple in its operation from the employee standpoint. And you've got to be able to be a master of a lot of things. They say jack of all trades, master of none. You have to literally do that. You have to learn every system, every component, and understand how they function. You have to understand chemistry. How does chemistry, how do these chemicals, what do they do to the vehicle? How do they clean the vehicle? How do they shine? How do they protect? What chemicals can't you mix together? What happens if you put the chemical in the wrong spot in the tunnel? You don't get a clean, shiny, dry car. And you all have to do that in 3 minutes. That's the standard time in a car wash, is 3 minutes. We have to get the car in and out. I think one of the biggest things I will do for Jeff for his business is I'm going to come in and improve efficiency. At the end of the day, we're like a manufacturing facility. If we are inefficient in any aspect of what we do, we're losing money on that particular section. So first off, we're going to focus on inefficiencies and simplifying processes. The other thing we're going to look at is, are we maximizing the opportunities we have with the customer from a sales perspective? Are we really capturing every dollar we can of that disposable income from every customer that rolls in the door? No, we're not. And no car wash is. So our goal is to make sure that we maximize those opportunities. In this industry, there's a lot of people jumping in that have money but don't know what they're doing. And that's not a bad thing. You just want to align yourself with a company who understands what it takes to operate day to day. You're dealing with a complex environment, complex set of machinery. You're better off to hire somebody who knows how to deal with those things, set them up, dial them in, train staff, and then operate how you choose to operate, as opposed to trying to figure it out all on your own.
That I started at the bottom and I've worked my way to the top. I know how to do every position in the wash. I don't ask my people to do anything that I haven't done and still aren't willing to do. Holding my team accountable, they know that. They know that I'm not beyond going out and washing a car, or helping with fixing a piece of equipment, or even cleaning the mud out of the pit. They know I'm still there with them. So we have a unique culture, because of that. As far as being competitive, I think we're at the top of our game. We don't necessarily look at other car washes as competition. We look at what is in the marketplace and is taking disposable dollars. That's who we want to compete with. Chick-fil-A, the movie theater, Netflix, where are they spending their disposable dollars? We want to create an experience for these people to where they feel so good about that experience, it's beyond washing their car. Car Wash Commando was inspired by my grandfather. He was an Army Ranger, went and fought in the Battle of Okinawa. He kind of taught us the old school hard work ethic. It's kind of where we come from, how we approach problems, is kind of with the militaristic background, as far as the perspective, like we're going to do whatever it takes. We don't think about what it costs, right? I always say at all cost, not at what cost. A lot of blood, sweat, and tears, 80-hour work weeks, talking to banks, going out, engaging with the customer, leading the people of the business, teaching them, what I knew. The hardest part, though, I would say would be, becoming capitalized, getting the money. I'm trying to think the hardest thing was, making payroll, every week, because as the volume, as the business picked up, it was, all right, add a person, we tried to adjust price. Eventually what happened is the bank decided that they would loan me more money, and that's when things became easier, and then we bought another location that we got some capital up front and it was easier. Then the third location, we had more capital going in. It just becomes easier and easier once you have a process that, when you can fund the marketing, the new equipment, the new hoses, the paint job, re-equipping a tunnel, making that conversion, the customer sees the investment and they buy into it. Without the capital, it's hard to do. To be honest, where I used to be and where I'm at today are two different things. I make a decision today to work on the business versus in it. Here's what I would give for advice for somebody who wants to build a car wash business and that's young, is to be patient, get into a company to where you can learn, an open book environment, and find somebody who's willing to invest in you and work on that. If you're really eager for success and you want it, really bad, I would say, you gotta have trust. Trust that things are gonna catch up with you. You gotta trust the organization that you're in. You gotta really develop trust who you're working with. I think it's probably the most important thing. Family comes first. I got a lot of great things from my family, one of which is probably ambition, also work ethic. My family, dad included, Mary Alice, taught me at an early age to, get up early, make the bed, go out, make the best of the day, do something productive. And they've partnered with me on washes. So, taking care of them is, important to me, as it is with any investor. But, it's nice when you got your family invested with you, versus giving an outside investor, so much return on the money or whatever. So I know it's going to, the same end, basically. think, you know, being someone's child, you know, and watching your kid grow up and developing the trust is probably, you know, the toughest part, you know, and gaining the respect, gaining their respect. You know, I did my first deal on my own, and, you know, at a certain point, you know, they kind of hats off, you know, took the hats off, you know, and there was a mutual respect given. And then, you know, ever since then, you know, they've been pretty cordial, you know, and friendly about doing deals. So it's nice to have them, you know, in the support network, and also their ability to help fund, you know, projects or co-sign or whatever. What up?
Oh, look. Hey, what y'all doing? Hey, how are you? Good, you? Good. Y'all hungry? Oh, yeah.
Oh yeah. I think, you know, my father was successful, and, you know, I have memories of taking vacations with them, you know, and seeing, you know, real estate or boats or whatever, or planes or whatever. And, you know, it really opened my eyes as far as, you know, what's possible. You know, really, like we talked about earlier, like the operating program, you know, as far as taking care of problems, asking the question, why do problems occur, getting to the fix of the problem. Work ethic, you know, is a big one. You know, getting up early, working late, not being afraid to put in a 18-hour day, you know, doing whatever it takes to make a project, you know, successful. Was probably the biggest factor. We generally eat, you know, about once a week. He does a breakfast, pause breakfast. We get together, you know, during the summer, you know, we go to the pool, you know, quite a bit. So we generally get together, you know, once a week or at least once a month, and, you know, have a meal, and they cook and everything. Mary Alice puts on, you know, she's got a good couple of dishes, you know, she cooks. So I think it's good just to get together and kind of unwind over a meal, you know, and spend some time together, you know, in a relaxed environment. I think it's just good in you know, building the relationship, obviously, keeping it, you know, healthy, you know, talking about other things, what's going on with the family, and all that good stuff. We play a mean game of cornhole as well, so, you know, it's a lot of fun. Everything you do as an entrepreneur, or, you know, a sole proprietor or business owner, you know, obviously it affects your family. There are a lot of sacrifices that were made, you know, early in my life. You know, wasn't able to, you know, be at every practice, or, you know, go to every, you know, recital or whatever, or be as involved in my kid's life, Kaylee's life, like I probably would have preferred to. I remember, you know, whenever it rained, you know, I would spend a lot of quality time with her. But, you know, when we were busy at the wash, you know, the you know, business in some senses would come first, you know, so we could provide for our family. So I think that's a delicate balance, you know. Looking back, you know, at this point, you know, sometimes I wonder if I shouldn't have made more time. For now, you know, being, you know, in the respect that, you know, I sold 2 washes, so, you know, our balance sheet's a lot different than it was before that. You know, I've gotten to a point now where it's no longer, you know, I'm no longer striving for success. You know, I've, you know, somewhat owned that, and, you know, it's a different deal after you go through something like that, where you know, you get a substantial amount of money for your hard work. So you no longer are doing things because you have to. In a lot of sense, you know, when you're, you know, undercapitalized, you know, you're doing everything you can just to survive, you know, to keep the business alive. And once you have like a horizon event, like a sale or whatever, you know, things just change, come into perspective. You no longer have to do things. You start looking at and realizing what you want to do and who you want to be. which is interesting, you know, from a business perspective. You know, because the grind is great, but you know, quality of life is, you know, is something as well. So you've got to try to figure that out, you know, and do what's best, you know, for the greater good.